The founding of Quebec. Champlain returned to St. Lawrence Valley in June 1608 with 32 colonists. They anchored at Quebec in July. It was there Champlain had to establish a permanent settlement and furthering Poison Valley. Champlain put the colonists to work at once, began constructing a group of houses and other buildings called Habitations of Quebec. As the work processed, Habitation of Quebec. As the group processed, the settlement consisted of several tribes, including the Wyandot or Huron, Anishinaabe or Algonquin, and Montagnais. They reminded Champlain of his promise to help them fight the Haudenosaunee. Winter came early that year and was bitter one. Within Habitation, the men began to fall ill. As before, scurvy affected many of them. 20 to 28 colonists were safe for winter dying. When spring came, it was time for Champlain to make good his promise to his allies. In July 1609, he and his men, armed with early firearms called arquebuses, joined the indigenous nation to rally against the Haudenosaunee and defeat them at that time. During his trip to the south, Champlain had become a long he named for himself, a natural border between New York and Vermont, is still Lake Champlain. In the coming years, Champlain and his men would join the indigenous allies' other battles against the English ally. Haudenosaunee, yet in many ways, the warring indigenous nations have far more common with each other, just as French and English, also enemies, but have more in common. Europeans wanted on their own to exploit the land. This attitude of nature would bring up huge challenges from North America, which allowed Europe to stay largely intact up until this time. Champlain returned often to France to report his work to Quebec and his recruit new colonists. In 1620, he named a government of New France. Under his administration, Quebec expanded and prospered, strengthened the settlement defense. Champlain constructed a fort at Camp Diamant, a rocky cliff overlooking habitations. A few years later, he knocked down a fort and built a larger and stronger. It was in the fort at 1629 that Champlain and his fellow colonists finally surrendered to Quirky brothers. Last returned to France. When Champlain landed in England in mid-October 1629, he was taken prisoner by Quirkies. He received unexpected good news. The war between France and England was over. Two nations signed a peace treaty 6 months earlier. That meant Quirky and brothers' conquest of Quebec and other parts of New France was illegal. Any territory won by Quirkies after signing the treaty would be returned to France. England's King Charles agreed that Quebec and other territories now ruled Quirkies through giving back to France. Of course, from the indigenous perspective, according to their laws, claimed both European countries were illegal. But in March 1632, King Charles agreed to a new treaty returning New France to French. Champlain was free and no first equipped. In his following years resumed his duties as governor of New France. Now the 60s, Champlain was tired and selling his age. 2 years later, on Christmas Day, 1635, a month after suffering stroke, he died. A lasting legacy. Champlain traveled to the now 6 Canadian provinces, find American states, little settlement in the river narrows, and Quebec City, capital of Canadian province of Quebec. Champlain had found that New France would endure as French colony. But it was not to be. Over a period of 75 years, from 1689 to 1763, France and England, after 1707, Great Britain fought more in control of New France. In the end, France was defeated and North America territories came under British rule. Even though Quebec officially became part of the British Empire, many French elements have survived to the present day.